Tonight, a day after the presidential election petition court dismissed their petitions, presidential candidates of the PDP and the Labour Party reject the court's verdict, vow to challenge the decision at the Supreme Court. Mixed reactions trail judgment of the presidential election petition court, which dismissed the petitions from the APM, Labour Party and the PDP, challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu. President Bola Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to harness the country's diversity to advance national prosperity and development for all.
On business news tonight, Nigeria records trade surplus of 1.3 trillion naira in the second quarter of this year, according to report from the National Bureau of Statistics.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles forward Taiwo Awoniyi has been nominated for the English Premier League player for the month of August, having scored in each of Nottingham Forest's first 3 matches last month.
And from the nation's capital, House of Representatives commences investigation into crude oil theft, as the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative alleges that over 16 trillion naira worth of crude oil has been stolen since 2009.
And in international news from London, the boss of Japan's biggest pop talent agency has resigned after finally admitting the sexual abuse committed by its late founder, Johnny Kitagawa.
Well, the judicial quest to challenge the outcome of the 2023 presidential election is not over just yet. As a presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the election, Mr. Atiku Abubakar today rejected the verdict of the presidential election petition court, which affirmed the election of President Bola Tinubu. Speaking to journalists during a press conference at the headquarters of the party in Abuja, Mr. Abubakar says though he respects the verdict, he will proceed to the Supreme Court.
I take great pains to tell you that the decision of the Court of First Instance on this matter utterly fails far short of expectation. I am therefore here to tell you that though the judgment of the court yesterday is respected, it is a judgment that I refuse to accept. I refuse to accept the judgment because I believe that it is bereft of substantial justice. However, the disappointment in the verdict of the court can never destroy my confidence in the judiciary. Consequently, I have asked my lawyers to activate my constitutionally guaranteed rights of appeal to the higher court, which in the instance is the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Whether I prevail in this quest or not, the record of my effort in ensuring an order of credible elections in Nigeria shall remain for the future generations to emulate.
The former vice president further says that the 2023 presidential election leaves behind unenviable precedents, which the courts have a duty to redress, as evident in what he described as INEC's compromise in the deployment of technology.
Our gains in ensuring transparent elections through the deployment of technology was heavily compromised by INEC in the way it managed the last presidential elections. And I'm afraid that the judgment of the court as rendered by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal yesterday failed to restore confidence in our dreams of free and fair elections devoid of human manipulations.
Meanwhile, just like his PDP counterpart, the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, also rejected the judgment, which he described as not conterminous with justice. Mr. Obi, who spoke today at a press conference in his hometown, Onitsha, Anambra State, acknowledged the court's adherence to statutory timeframes, expressed respect for the court's views and rulings, but disagreed with the judgment's rationale and final conclusions. He then announced his intention to immediately challenge the judgment at the Supreme Court.
It is my intention as the presidential candidate and intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The PEPC has rendered its judgment, but that esteemed body is not the final arbiter. The responsibility now falls on the Supreme Court. I do know that the judgment is not conterminous with justice. I implore Nigerians to remain focused, steadfast, and peaceful, and to abide by the rule of law and understand this matter has not reached its logical conclusion. Our legal team has already received our firm instruction to file an appeal against the decision. I shall not relent in quest for justice, not necessarily for myself, but for indeed for our teeming supporters all over Nigeria, whose mandate to us at the post was regrettably truncated by INEC. The strength and value of our democracy reside on solid national institutions and our confidence in them. Electoral litigations will almost be unnecessary and non-existent if the Independent National Electoral Commission discharges its statutory functions creditably, transparently, and with sustainable fairness.
For Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State, there is no need for the presidential candidate of the PDP, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, to appeal the judgment of the court, which upheld the victory of President Bola Tinubu. In an interview with State House correspondents after visiting Vice President Kashim Shettima at the presidential villa Abuja, Governor Bello says the verdict of the court reflects the will of Nigerians. He also reacted to the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal in Kogi State, which declared Mrs. Natasha Akpoti-Oduaghan of the People's Democratic Party as a winner of the Kogi Central Senatorial election.
Nigerians within the country and in diaspora are happy. We are happy. I think it is time to settle down and face governance. And I'll advise all those that feel aggrieved, we have only one country, Nigeria. We must all come together and support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We must all come together and support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and ensure that we fix this country. Whatever the hardship we are facing today is the effect of the past. Definitely, we'll have Mr. Fix-It, who is coming to fix, or who is here already, trying his best, traveling across the world to ensure that Nigeria is fixed. So we are happy the matter is settled. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think there is any grounds for appeal. I will rather appeal to them that they should drop any appeal going to the higher court and then save the resources, save the trouble, advise their supporters, admonish them that we should accept yesterday's judgment, no flaw. I want to assure you that even judging from yesterday's pronouncement at the appeal court, we are going to have our 3/3 Senate in Kogi State, I can assure you.
Well, staying with reactions to yesterday's judgment delivered by the Presidential Election Petition Court. This time, senior advocates of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu and Richard Aonaro, say, contrary to expectations, that the court would only do a partial review of the cases before delivering judgment. The justices did a thorough analysis of the judgment. While describing the judgment as satisfactory based on jurisprudence, they urge aggrieved parties to explore democratic options.
It's been hours after the over 12-hour live broadcast of the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, and reactions have been mixed on the judgment of the court.
I received the judgment with some measure of satisfaction. Transparency of the process, for me, is the icing on the cake, because the local and international audience were able to see how the judice works and how they arrive at their conclusions.
Their Lordship did justice according to law in respect of the issues submitted for determination by the parties. So I do not think there will be controversies.
Meanwhile, chieftains from the ruling and main opposition parties seem to have different perspectives.
So those who conceptualized the Constitution realized that there are 36 states in this country, and 2/3 of 36 must have 25%, and Abuja, 25%. There are then the others that there is no need to transmit the results. How? What is the essence of modernizing the electoral process?
The Supreme Court will be more ferocious in their judgment. They will rebuke them. They will rebuke them for thinking that presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a tea party. You say you want to be the president of Nigeria. Have you built the bridges? Have you built friendship across? If there was anybody that was robbed in this election, it's Asiwaju. We are expecting 15 million votes, given what he has done.
The speakers want all parties to toe the path already defined by law.
I want to plead with Nigerians. No violence. No rioting. Let us be calm. Let us be civil. That will be a measure of our level of development.
All parties must embrace the democratic options in the choices they make, because we cannot afford any war. We cannot afford any conflagration of our country. This is the only country that we all subscribe to.
Nigeria has enjoyed 24 years of unbroken democracy. And we think Nigerians are better for it. I think the problem we have is how to get political offices right.
We are not a banana republic. We are the father. We're the father of Africa. We have gone beyond that stage. Try it. I don't even having sleepless nights about it. They are calling for military coup, we know, because they see coup in Gabon. Gabon is not up to Gabon is like Biafra state.
With the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal done and dusted, all eyes are now on the Supreme Court, which is the final arbiter in presidential polls.
In part two, after the break, President Tinubu in India urges Nigerians to harness the country's rich diversity. Plus, House of Representatives to commence investigations after the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NATI) alleged that over 16 trillion naira worth of crude oil has been stolen since 2009. Well, that's in a moment. So join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. A day after the presidential election petition court dismissed their petitions, presidential candidates of the PDP and Labour Party reject a court's verdict, vow to challenge decision at the Supreme Court. Mixed reactions trail judgment of the presidential elections petitions courts, which dismissed the petitions from the APM, Labour Party and the PDP challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu. President Tinubu in India appeals to Nigerians to harness the country's diversity to advance national prosperity and development for all. And Japan's biggest pop talent agency's boss resigns after admitting the sexual abuse committed by its late founder, Johnny Kitagawa. President Bola Tinubu has urged Nigerians to harness the country's rich diversity as a uniquely powerful tool for advancing prosperity and national development. President Tinubu, who is currently in India for the G20 summit, shared his conviction during an interaction with the Nigerian community there. The president emphasized the importance of leveraging the country's diversity to drive economic growth, innovation, and social progress.
We are here not to talk politics. We are here to present a future to you. A future of a country that is so rich, endowed, and highly populated, very dynamic, unique in its culture, unique in our tradition, unique in our ethnicity. A country we determine that we make our prosperity possible if only we use that God-given opportunity of diversity for prosperity of Nigerians. We're sure to do that. We're not poor in knowledge. We are not poor in human resources. We are not poor in capital resources. We're only poor in management and leadership. And that is why I ran for president, to help all of us mold the soul of our country in the right direction.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. Well, let's now head over to our studio in the nation's capital, Abuja, where Terry Kumi has more stories lined up on the news at 10. Hello, Terry.
Hi, Kayode. The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NAITI, says crude oil valued at over 16 trillion naira has been stolen in the country since 2009. The Executive Secretary of NAITI, Mr. Bunaya Orji, stated this at an investigative hearing of the House of Representatives, adding that the culprit included high-profile members of the society, security agencies, and host communities. Meanwhile, the House is inviting the NNPC Limited to appear before it to respond to allegations made by a private security company alleging that the NNPCL hired its services to secure pipelines but denied it access to the pipelines. This House of Representatives ad hoc committee is investigating crude oil theft in the country as mandated by the House before embarking on its annual recess.
Speaker and Honorable Chairman.
Key stakeholders, including security agencies, are before the committee as the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, in his submission, reports on the findings of his agency.
2009 to 2020, the data we collected, empirical data, showed that 609.17 million barrels, valued at $46.16 billion. When you convert in naira, 16.25 trillion was stolen.
Private security professionals make mind-boggling revelations that unsettle the lawmakers.
One other thing we have to look into seriously in this country is this marginal oil price. I see it here, I know we are here, I'm not scared to see it. The pollute. One of Nigeria's biggest problems in West Africa is Ghana. Ghana is the big beneficiary of Nigeria's spending health. Let us say it as it is.
I have developed a technology that can be able to detect third-party intrusion and real-time pipeline monitoring and surveillance. Since 2010, I was awarded a contract to secure a segment of crude oil export line, 15 kilometers. I brought the equipment since 2017. I was denied access to the pipeline until after about 4 weeks ago. The NNPC gave me the contract. That is for 15 kilometers. Yes, the contract. No, don't bother. Okay. And all of them are part of being able to know when anybody taps the line. Yeah, I program the mobile handset and phone number. As I receive text, when they touch pipeline, they receive it. I am beginning to run down if what is happening in this country is not organized crime. Because if somebody is going to be protecting my own property, and I have access to knowing when that property is being stolen, and I decide to keep notes, then it means that some of those people who you have mentioned are also liable.
Following the allegations made against the NNPCL, the committee is unhappy that it failed to honor its invitation and has given another chance to the NNPCL and other vital stakeholders who did not appear as well. We apologize for the poor audio in that report. Moving on. Call it the carrot and stick approach, as the Nigerian military today appealed to terrorists and their cohorts to drop their arms or risk annihilation. The appeal was made by the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, at the maiden edition of the quarterly press conference held at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. He assures that the military will work tirelessly to ensure safety and security of Nigerians, urging them to give their full cooperation to the military.
The illusion by these groups to embark on terrorism or insurgency is indeed laughable. You may ask, why do I say so? I say so because increasingly they have become more of a criminal organization, which is the reason they fight. They fight so that they can keep profiting from criminal activities such as illegal mining, kidnapping, cattle rustling, illegal levy collection from farmers and fishermen, and all other forms of criminal inclinations. If these groups do not come to the table in peace, we will ceaselessly punish them with overwhelming military force. For those supporting them, I say you have picked the wrong side, and you will face similar fate as these criminals and murderers.
Now, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Gbetokun, is charging newly promoted officers to be dedicated in their new position and operate within the international best practices. The police chief stated this during the decoration of 4 Deputy Inspectors General of Police at the force headquarters in Abuja. According to him, the promotion of qualified officers remains one of his focus. Following the 12 hours of rainfall that left most parts of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, flooded, the state government has banned open disposal of waste across the state. The State Commissioner for Water Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Mr. Odo Ugu, disclosed this after inspecting the flood and waste disposal system, which has blocked drainages and increased flooding within the township.
Excess water from prolonged rainfall in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, has led to flooding, which is threatening to cut off the road linking the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, from the capital city. staff of the university and officials from the Benue State government, led by the Commissioner for Works and Housing, visit the scene and offer remedial work to restore access to motorists.
For the interim, there is nothing major we can do. We are going to bring in place temporary measures to curb the situation so people can go to work, go to school and come back. Then during dry season, we'll access everything and attend to it properly. You can see the water is all over the place.
The flood-blocked drainages amidst indiscriminate disposal of waste. The State Commissioner for Water Resources, Environment and Climate Change, Mr. Odo Ugu, leads state officials to inspect the impact of the blockages on business activities and public health.
The result of debris that have blocked the way and some plants, as fast as possible, I will discuss with my team and I will let His Excellency know the need to quickly move into action to remove all the drainages and make it, you understand, water-free channel.
The team also visits the High Market Waste Disposal Point, which has been cleared and closed to any form of disposal to avoid blocking all tributaries and water channels, as officials introduce new ways of waste disposal to forestall flooding.
With bringing on board of NEBAT, you are aware, they will take responsibility. They begin to collect the waste. They will come right inside the market. They will station there, you bring your dump and give them. And they leave. Morning. Yes, it has to be every morning.
This is a threat to life. You know, this is a hazard, health hazard, and won't take it lightly. We'll do that by next week unfailingly. We'll have a sit out with them on the round table and see how we'll get this work done.
Residents are hoping that the state government will follow through with the plan and address the flooding in the state.
And that's it from the nation's capital. The news continues from Lagos. Coyote.
Well, thank you, Terry. We're flipping the story now and turning our attention to the profitable side of water, as the era of wastage in the country's marine and maritime domain may soon be over as the blue economy begins to get adequate attention. Well, during an inspection tour of NIMASA's facilities in Lagos, the pioneer Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, expressed the federal government's willingness to boost economic growth and development by harnessing the vast potential of the maritime domain. Our correspondent, Chris Elems, reports.
The pioneer Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, appears to have hit the ground running with a tour of facilities of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, in Lagos. There is no better way to welcome him than to show him around the agency's new edifice on Victoria Island. According to the Director General of NIMASA, in the last year, the agency has acquired 4 other major property across the country.
These offices are multi-billion naira offices. And with the exception of Port Harcourt and Abuja, we all paid off and we are not owing any one of them.
The minister seems impressed, but calls for proper maintenance culture.
What is important is to ensure that you have a very good sense of maintenance. Most times you have very good properties, but in a few years after you get there, you're disappointed.
As we journey on water to the next port of call, the Maritime House, one could not but imagine the huge coastal resources available to a country with a coastline measuring 853 kilometers. The minister's assignment at the Maritime House is to have an interactive session with the staff of the agency.
Everybody present.
He looks forward to when Nigeria's shipping and fishery industry will take their rightful positions.
I realize that the fishing industry in Nigeria is actually dominated by foreigners. They will harvest and fish, take it from here to perhaps Cameroon, and bring it back to us as imported fish. And I realized that I think about 2 years ago, CBN spent no less than about $4 billion on imported fish.
Other facilities visited include the ongoing construction site of Nimasa Skill Acquisition Center, the Search and Rescue Clinic, as well as its operational base.
I'm impressed with what I've seen so far, and I think we are really ready for the marine and blue economy, in the real sense of it. Where we have issues here and there, we are going to look at them with a view of ensuring that we're able to really prepare the ministry for the challenges ahead.
Coastal tourism, renewable energy, marine technology are a few other areas of the blue economy. To get these effectively harnessed, the country must continue to invest in ensuring the security and safety of its waterways. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
And now to healthcare. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, has inaugurated a 42-bed general hospital located in the oil-rich community of Umuakane in Ohaji-Egbema local government area. During the commissioning, Governor Uzodimma commended the federal government for the prompt payment of the state's 13% oil derivation, which has facilitated the completion of the hospital. He says the gesture is also a part of his commitments to providing quality and qualitative health care to Imo indigents.
Ohaji-Egbema local government area of Imo State is one of the 3 oil-producing local governments. As part of the proceeds of the 13% oil derivation of oil-producing communities, the Imo State government has constructed this 42-bed general hospital for the provision of quality health care for the people of the area. The state governor, Hope Uzodimma, is present to inaugurate the facility as indigents of Ohaji-Egbema, men, women, young and old, are present to witness this all-important event.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The board chairman of the Imo State Oil Producing Area Development Commission, ISOPADEC, and the Kwesi Autonomous Community, Dilo Digbo, commends Uzodimma-led administration for his giant stride, a sentiment also shared by the State Commissioner for Health.
Your Excellency, you have positively changed the developmental landscape of the state, with the highest number of projects ever completed by any administration in the country.
Today, you have situated this general hospital in a rural area. It shows one thing, that you actually know that the disease burden is actually located in the rural area. And whatever disease we see here, we can get data for further treatment and further analysis of some disease from this area.
Governor Uzodimma reiterates his commitment to providing basic and quality health care for the indigents of the state.
I will not be a governor who will come and mismanage the 13%. And when there is nothing to show, I will take an integral part of the money and look for boys who smoke Indian hemp and cocaine to dash the money. Government cannot be dashing money. Government must help the citizens to learn how to make money.
The state government says similar projects have been completed in other 2 oil-producing communities of Oguta and Oru East local government areas of the state.
And now to neighboring river state south of Nigeria, where Governor Siminalayi Fubara is marking 100 days since he assumed office with the flag-off of the construction of 26 internal roads in Elelewo community in Obiapo local government area. The project is part of 25 infrastructure projects that will be flagged off and commissioned by the state government in the next 1 month. Speaking at the ceremony, Governor Fubara promised not to lower the bar of governance in the state. He also gave an insight into the 2023 budget performance by his administration.
It's an exciting day for the people of Elelewon in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers, who are hosting Governor Siminalayi Fubara as he kicks off activities to mark his 100 days in office in the community. Governor Fubara is back to the area where he lived as a young graduate to flag off the construction of 26 internal roads to 25.12 kilometers, according to the Commissioner for Works.
Your Excellency, the total road length is 25.12 kilometers. The contractor has been mobilized. The contractor has moved to site fully and work has commenced.
The people's thoughts are expressed through the council chairman, who hailed Governor Fubara's zeal for project delivery.
The flag off of this project is an eloquent testimony that you believe in consolidation. We thank you for that, Your Excellency.
This is among the 25 infrastructure projects earmarked to be flagged off or inaugurated in the next 1 month. And for Governor Fubara, it affirms his promise not to lower the bar of governance.
We made promises to the good people of Rivers State that we are not going to lower the momentum, but continue to what we have met, believing that the only way we can sustain the strength of our party is to contribute positively to our people.
He also explains his administration's implementation of the 2023 budget and calls for peace in the area to achieve more development.
Because of this very sensitive project for the expansion and development of our dear state, we sought an approval from the House of Assembly, who graciously approved a budget, estimated budget at that time of 200 billion, which we added. And as of today, we are doing about 700 billion.
The Elelewon Internal Road Project is expected to be completed in 6 months.
And the launch of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit has highlighted the importance of investing in sustainable multimodal transportation system to cater for the growing population of the country. The commuters have continued to give positive responses about comfort, affordability, and reduction of travel time in their use of the rail system. The channel's television returns to the Blue Line rail terminals to assess the operation of a train service.
Gridlock is not unusual on the Mile 2 Oshodi Road. Beside this jam is the Mile 2 train station, the takeoff point of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit, an alternative means of transport created to reduce traffic on the roads. Passengers check in for the last train trip of the morning peak. The use of Cowrie card makes the process seamless for commuters. Those who have little information about the schedule have just missed the train. The wait time before the next trip is just about an hour. Notwithstanding, enthusiastic passengers can't wait to experience the new rail transport system.
I want to wait and enter the train. I want to get the experience to enter the train, because I know it will be faster. There's a lot of hold up out there. I just want to enter the train and get to where I'm going.
I'm really impressed. I cannot wait to get to that train. I cannot wait to get it.
Passengers have just 5 minutes to get aboard. The locomotive comprises 4 compartments with over 50 passengers in each, sitting and standing. Passengers appear to be excited about the comfort that comes with riding on the Blue Line rail.
You can imagine, I just left my house not quite long, and in no distance time, maybe in 15 minutes time, I will be at my place of work.
It is affordable, it is accessible, it is reliable, it is safe, it is convenient, and we are all experiencing what transportation in a new world should look like.
The ride between the Mile 2 terminal to Marina takes about 25 minutes, with a 90-second stoppage at each of the 5 stations before the final destination. The Blue Line train service is being managed by the Lagos State Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, and has continued to receive commendation from most residents. However, there are concerns about the availability of power for a rail system run by electricity, especially in a climate where public power supply is epileptic. So what are the alternative sources of power? During a tour of the facilities days before the launch, the managing director of LAMATA attempted to provide answers to these questions and others regarding the safety and maintenance of the infrastructure.
We have been very meticulous in ensuring that all the issues are dealt with, including the provision of the power, health and safety, operational modalities to ensure the safety of all of our passengers.
The partial passenger operations covers the morning peak hours from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and evening peak from 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. These operations are starting with 12 trips, to be increased to 76 trips per day.
Well, the News at 10 train now makes a stopover at the business terminal with Anne Owaudo. All aboard now, Anne.
Indeed, Kayode, thanks a lot. Well, thank you for joining us on Business News. Let's begin with Nigeria recording a foreign trade surplus of 1.3 trillion naira as total trade reached 12.74 trillion naira in the second quarter of this year. And that's according to latest report coming from the National Bureau of Statistics. We'll take a look at the breakdown of the NBS data. It shows total exports for the second quarter for 2023 increased by 8.15%. to 7.01 trillion naira, coming from 6.48 trillion naira, which it recorded in the first quarter, while total imports rose to 5.7 trillion naira from 5.5 trillion naira. Netherlands led the top 5 export destinations in the second quarter, while China emerged as number 1 on the top 5 partner countries in terms of imports. An investment summit like no other. That's how Governor Charles Soludo has described the 2023 Anambra Investment Summit. He gave his administration saying that it will do all it can to encourage investors and make Anambra the next axis for sustainable prosperity.
We must change that narrative from being a departure lounge to a destination point. The world will intentionally plan to come to Anambra. And in a few years' time, our goal is that any visitor, any foreigner that gets to Nigeria and hasn't been to Anambra, hasn't been to Nigeria. Anambra is determined to become a point that we will be exporting deliberately in some months to come. And that's why we've acquired 106 hectares of land at Ukpo Ukulu, and that's where we're establishing the Export Emporium with the warehouses, an aggregation center that will become a free trade zone, an export free trade zone. We are innovation district to midwife the emergence of digital tribe, and so on and so forth. Our 1U 2 skills program, we're trying to mainstream deliberately and empower the emergence of MSMEs, okay, in the state. Organizing funding, thinking it through, and trying to do the mentoring process from gestation, project development to execution.
Let's head to the equities market now. We sustained the bearish performance for the back of more profit-taking today. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it's another downturn today after that marginal pullback we had yesterday, but it's a bigger one this time, 0.30%, 68,000 holding by a hair's breadth at this point. Market cap 37.26 trillion. Let's look at the trading activity in the market now. We see it's more value and deals compared to yesterday, but volume is down there, 378 million units of stocks. If we look at the gainers counter now, we see Beta Glass topping that counter. That's in packaging and containers. It's up 9.97%. Cadbury, consumer goods, 15 naira 60 kobo, up 9.86%. We see CWG there, 5 naira 26 kobo. Losers counter, we see Morrison Industries leading about 30 decliners there, down 9.89%. Stocks worth over 1 trillion. We see Zenith Bank and Dangote Cement contributing to this downturn that we see today. Well, so that's why we see the bear shining. That's how your money performed today. I'm Laddie Williams. It's back to you, Anne.
That's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. It's back to you, Kayode.
Well, thank you, Anne. The military junta in Gabon has appointed Raymond Dongsima as the country's new interim prime minister. The economist and one-time former prime minister was a staunch opponent of deposed President Ali Bongo. We'll have Sam Mpusi with more international stories and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The boss of Japan's biggest pop talent agency has resigned after finally admitting the sexual abuse committed by its late founder, Johnny Kitagawa. Julie Fujishima resigned from Johnny & Associates during a public apology to her uncle's victims. Her departure comes a week after investigators found Kitagawa extensively abused young idols at his pop agency over a 6-decade career. Johnny Kitagawa died in 2019, having always denied wrongdoing. He never faced any charges. Rwandan police have arrested a 34-year-old suspected serial killer who is alleged to have murdered more than 10 people and buried them in his kitchen. Police discovered the alleged crime after the man was evicted from his rented accommodation in a suburb of the capital, Kigali. They were called after the suspect had defaulted on rent payments for months. A police officer told local media the victims appeared to have been sex workers. They included men and women. Mexico appears all but certain to elect its first ever female head of state after Claudia Sheinbaum was confirmed as the governing party's candidate in next year's presidential election. Ms. Sheinbaum, a 61-year-old trained scientist, is a close ally of the leftist President Andrés Manuel López Obrador.
Hoy ganó la democracia. Hoy decidió el pueblo de México.
We will win in 2024, she told supporters in a speech. The former Mexico City mayor will face off against Xochitl Gálvez, who is leading the opposition coalition. Greece's storm Daniel has battered the capital Athens for a second day, just days after a deadly wildfire in the north of the country. Dramatic video showed what could be a water pipe or the sewers bursting in a flooded street as one car struggled to drive through the water. At least 3 people have died in the country and 4 more are missing. Greece has said the weather was the most extreme in terms of rainfall since records began. Drone footage showed the devastating aftermath of torrential rains that flooded homes and businesses and destroyed infrastructure in central Greece. Japan has successfully launched a rocket with a lunar lander at its 4th try this year after previous attempts were foiled by bad weather.
15, 14, 13, 12,
Flight mode on.
10. The flight mode is on. Lower than kilo. The solar battery.
The lander, dubbed the Moon Sniper, is expected to attempt a moon landing in February if all goes well. Japan has twice failed to reach the lunar surface in the past year amid setbacks for its space program. It is bidding to become only the 5th country to land on the moon after the US, Russia, China and India. The U.S. State Secretary Antony Blinken has shared a McDonald's meal with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba in Kyiv.
Hello. So, what would you like to have? They have a week. Good. That's blessings.
Kuleba ordered a cherry pie, while Blinken opted for a large-sized French fries.
I did the same, but I cannot. Student.
The two sat opposite each other while sharing the fries and discussing the importance of McDonald's coming back to Ukraine. The unexpected dinner date happened whilst Mr. Blinken was visiting Kyiv to express America's unwavering support for Ukraine through its ongoing offensive.
We are seeing real progress over the last few weeks. As it happens, President Zelensky just returned from the front lines, so I was able to hear directly from him his assessment of the counteroffensive. And I think it very much matches our own, which is, as I said, real progress in recent weeks.
And an archaeological site in the shadow of Peru's bustling capital has revealed yet another pre-Incan treasure, a 1,000-year-old mummy. The remains of an adult dating back to 1000 AD were discovered in a grave at the Huca Puclana ceremonial site in Lima. The mummy belonged to the Yacuzma culture and was found in a seated position with its legs bent and arms crossed, surrounded by two ceramic vessels. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. And staying in England, Super Eagles forward Taiwo Awoniyi's impressive form in English Premier League has earned him a spot in the shortlist for the Player of the Month of August. That's the award for the Premier League. Awoniyi will battle out with 5 other nominees, including Gerard Bowen from West Ham, James Maddison from Tottenham Hotspur, Rodri from Man City, Brian Boehmer from Brentford, and Karim Mitoma from Brighton for the award, having scored in each of the Nottingham Forest's first 3 matches last month. Meanwhile, back home, Super Eagles captain William Ekong says the team will go all out for victory over Sao Tome and Principe at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on Sunday, a welcome gift for the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno. The Super Eagles are already guaranteed a spot in Cote d'Ivoire next year, having secured 12 points from 5 games. However, Ekong admits the side aiming to finish on top with 15 points. They also need to sustain a winning mentality ahead of the FIFA World Cup qualifier starting in November. And that's it on Sports Sky. Days back to you.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. And the main news again. Presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, and his Labour Party counterpart, Peter Obi, today rejected the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Court, which dismissed their petitions against the election of President Bola Tinubu. Also today, President Tinubu appeals to Nigerians to harness the country's diversity to advance national prosperity and development for all. President Tinubu, who was speaking in India during an interaction with the Nigerian community in that country. Well, that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikelu. Good night.